first got interested in teaching when I was a medical social worker at Poudre Valley Hospital and had students in their field practicum at the hospital. And I worked with them and I thought, this is a lot of fun, this is exciting, maybe I would enjoy teaching. I think I first got excited about research when I was in the medical setting. Research is important to practice for a number of reasons because knowledge is constantly changing. And that's true for social work too.
Vicky was the #1 champion of building a strong research curriculum, was often called on to be a voice standing up for strengthening the research in the School of Social Work.
We need to let students know that practice needs to change. What programs work with who, because people are so different that they don't always work the same. And that diversity is really important to pay attention to in practice and in therapy.
She brought a social work perspective in spaces that historically did not have social work. So that was in agricultural health and safety efforts. She was a real pioneer in bringing that lens in there. The other way she enhanced social work research at CSU was through her desire to improve social work education, particularly in assessment and evaluation methods of social work student learning outcomes.
Developing the PhD in the School of Social Work was a very collaborative project. I wanted it so badly for CSU to have a PhD in social work.
Well, I think if it hadn't been for Vicky, we certainly would not had a PhD program as early as we did, and maybe not at all.
Brad Schaefer and Ben Granger and I developed several models of a PhD before we finally got one that worked. I was really lucky to have as many mentors as I had throughout my career. Brad Schaefer and Victor Baez were already there. They really helped me learn how to be a faculty member, how to work in the department, and later to work in the larger university. Ben modeled for me how to be an administrator because when I became the director of the PhD, I tried to follow what he had taught me about being an administrator. My teaching philosophy really changed over the years and used to be terrified going into the classroom, afraid that I might not be able to answer a question that students asked me. I came to realize with a lot of help from students that it took all of us to make the classroom work.
Vicky really always saw you as the person first and then the student second, which was huge and fundamental in just creating a very supportive environment.
Over the years, I was really lucky to have a lot of really positive experiences. Getting a center grant, a national center for agricultural health and safety. I was lucky to work with other social work faculty across the country related to outcome assessment in social work education. We called it the BEEP project. It was the Baccalaureate Educational Assessment Project. I worked with a couple of my students to develop the Human Service Assessment Project. One of the highlights for me was watching my husband give my daughter her Bachelor of Science degree. That was an exciting accomplishment for all three of us. I think that my legacy at CSU is probably in my students. I really think it's important to know that whatever you have tried to inculcate into students maybe is carried on by them.
She really took her role as a mentor and advisor so seriously that really the success of the next generation of social work can be linked back to her, and it just kind of knows no bounds. I have moved out of Colorado, but like her legacy and influencing how I teach my students, how I do research I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for her and that influence. Thank you, Vicky, for taking a chance on me, and I love you.
Well, Vicky, you have been a remarkable role model for faculty and students and social work practitioners during your years at Colorado State. I personally have gained so much in working with you and knowing you, and thank you for all you've done.
It was an amazing career. I think it would not have been possible without my colleagues. I know that my family and friends were really helpful in getting through the hoops and hurdles that faculty face as they develop in their careers. I also think I want to say thank you to the students most of all. I think that teaching was a real privilege and a real honor. I think it gave me a high that over 30 years never stopped.